Welcome back to our weekly Read Alouds, Falcons. As you might have heard Mr. Moffat talk about in the Daily Bulletin, this month is Asian American Pacific Islander Month. So I chose a book that features a girl from Korea, and it's called The Name Jar. It's by Yangsook Chloi. The Name Jar. Through the school bus window, Yoon-hai looked out at the strange buildings and houses on the way to her new school. It was her first day, and she was both nervous and excited. She fingered the little block of wood in her pocket and remembered leaving her grandmother at the airport in Korea. Her grandmother had wiped away Yoon-hai's tears and handed her an ink pad and a small red satin pouch. "Your name is inside," she had said. "My name?" Yoon-hai had wondered. Again, she took out the red pouch to look at the wooden block with her name carved in it. As she ran her fingers along the grooves and ridges of the Korean characters, she pictured her grandmother's smile. "Is that thing for show and tell?" a boy asked Yoon-hai, surprising her. Yoon-hai looked up as more kids leaned over. "No, it's mine," Yoon-hai answered, quickly putting the pouch back in her pocket. "Are you new here? What's your name?" a girl asked. "Yoon-hai," said Yoon-hai. "Uni?" the girl asked, scrunching up her face. "Ooh, Uni," some kids chanted. No, Yoon-hai corrected. It's spelled U-N-H-E-I. It's pronounced Yoon-hai. "Oh, it's Yoon-hae," the boy said, like, "Hey you. What about, hey you?" Just then, the bus pulled up to the school and the doors opened. Yoon-hai hurried to get off. "Yoo-hae, bye-bye," the kids yelled as she left. Yoon-hai felt herself blush. Yoon-hai stood in the doorway of her new and noisy classroom. She was relieved that the kids on the bus had gone to other rooms, but her face still felt red. "Aren't you going in?" asked a curly-haired boy with lots of dots on his face. "You're the new girl, right?" he asked cheerfully. Yoon-hai nodded, and before she could walk away, the boy took her hand and pulled her through the door. "Here's the new girl," he announced so loudly that the teacher, Mr. Kokotos, almost dropped his glasses. Mr. Kokotos thanked him and greeted Yoon-hai. "Please welcome our newest student," he said to the class. "She and her family just arrived from Korea last week." Yoon-hai smiled broadly and tried not to show her nervousness. "What's your name?" someone shouted. Yoon-hai pictured the kids on the bus. I haven't picked one yet," she told the class, "but I'll let you know by next week." Mr. Kokoto showed her to her desk. She felt many round, curious eyes on her. "Why doesn't she know her name?" she heard someone whisper. "Maybe she robbed a bank in Korea and needs a new identity," a boy replied. Do you think that's why she didn't tell them her name? Why do you think she may have not told them? On the bus home, nobody teased her, but Yoon-hai kept thinking about her name. "How was school, Yoon-hai?" her mother asked when she walked in. "Did you understand the teacher?" Yoon-hai simply nodded. She unpacked her school bag and set the red pouch by a photograph of her grandma. "I'm glad you are learning English well," her mother said. "You must study hard, behave nicely, and get good grades to show that you're a good Korean." "I will," replied Yoon-hai. But I think I would like my own American name," she said quickly. Her mother looked at her with surprise. "Why? Yoon-hai is a beautiful name. Your grandma and I went to a name master for it." "But it's so hard to pronounce," Yoon-hai complained. "I don't want to be different from all the American kids." You are different, Yoon-hai, her mother said. That's a good thing. Yoon-hai just wrinkled her nose. Do you think Yoon-hai feels like it's good to be different? Later that day, Yoon-hai and her mother went grocery shopping in their new neighborhood. They passed Fadil's Falafel, Tony's Pizza, and Dot's Deli. A big graffiti-painted garbage truck roared like a lion as it took off down the street. Nothing sounded or looked familiar until they got to Kim's Market. The sign was both in English and Korean. Her mother picked up cabbage to make kimchi, a Korean-style spicy pickled cabbage, and other vegetables and meat. She also found some seaweed, Yoon-hai's favorite for soup. It made Yoon-hai smile. Just because we've moved to America, her mother said, doesn't mean we stop eating Korean food. At the checkout counter, a friendly man smiled at Yoon-hai. Helping your mother with the shopping? He asked. Yoon-hai nodded. I'm Mr. Kim, he said. And what is your name? Yoon-hai, she answered. Ah, what a beautiful name, he said. Doesn't it mean grace? Yoon-hai nodded again. My mother and grandmother went to a name master for it, she told him. A graceful name for a graceful girl, Mr. Kim said as he put their groceries into bags. Welcome to the neighborhood, Yoon-hai. That evening, Yoon-hai stood in front of the bathroom mirror. Hi, my name is Amanda, she said cheerfully. Then she wrinkled her nose. Hi, my name is Laura, she said. Maybe not. Her smile turned down. Nothing felt right. Nothing sounded right. I don't think American kids will like me, she worried as she began to brush her teeth. Ha-hee, my name is Sushi, she said to the mirror with her mouth full of toothpaste. The next morning when Yoon-hai arrived at school, she found a glass jar on her desk with some pieces of paper in it. Yoon-hai took one out and read it out loud. Daisy. That's my baby sister's nickname, but she said you can use it if you want, said Cindy, who sat next to her. Yoon-hai took out the rest of the paper. Tamala, she read. I got it from a storybook, said Nate. She was smart and brave. Yoon-hai nodded and unfolded another piece of paper. Wednesday? Yes, you came here on a Wednesday, said Ralph. Thank you for your help. A smile spread over Yoon-hai's face. Ralph quickly said, We'll put more names in it. You can pick whatever you like. We'll pick them all, and you can have the longest name in history. At 3 o'clock, the bell rang for the end of the school day. Yoon-hai looked out the window and saw it was sprinkling. It's the same rain, she thought, but in a different place. She watched other kids leaving in groups. Hey! A familiar voice called out to her. Yoon-hai turned around to see the curly-haired boy again. I'm Joey, he said. And you? Don't you have any name? Yoon-hai thought for a moment. Well, I can show you, she said, and took out the small red pouch. She pressed the wooden block on the ink pad and then stamped it on a piece of paper. This is my name stamp, she said. My grandma gave it to me. In Korea, I can use it as a signature when I open a bank account or write a letter. And whenever I miss my grandma, I use it to fill a piece of paper. Want to try it? She offered the stamp to Joey, and he carefully inked the stamp and pressed it hard on the paper. The red characters gleamed against the whiteness. Wow, that's beautiful, Joey said. Can I keep the paper? Sure, Yoon-hai said, and then the two of them shared her umbrella as they walked to the school bus. Every day, the jar got fuller with more names, and Yoon-hai read them all. She found a few names she liked. Miranda, Stella, Avery. They sounded interesting. I hope you choose the name I put in, Marco told her at snack time. I've put in 3 more, said Ralph. Madison, Park, and Lex. They're my favorite street names. Maybe you should close your eyes and draw a name, Rosie suggested. Ralph frowned. That's silly. What if she doesn't like the name she draws? Well, we didn't get to choose our names when we were born, did we? Rosie asked. Everyone thought about this. Who chose your name for you? Did you get to pick your own name, or maybe your mom or dad chose it for you? When Yuhai got home from school that day, her little brother ran to give her a letter. It was from her grandma. She opened it quickly, and it said, To my Yunhei, I hope you are enjoying your new school and new friends. Be sure to help your mother and your little brother. Here the moon is up, but there the sun is up. No matter how far apart we are, and no matter how different America is from Korea, you'll always be my Yunhei, your grandmother forever. Yunhei took out her wooden stamp and filled a paper with it. She thought for a long time in front of the bathroom mirror. She's missing her grandmother, isn't she? On Saturday, Yunhei walked to Mr. Kim's store. Mr. Kim was helping a customer, but he looked up and greeted her. Hi, Yunhei. Hello, Mr. Kim, Yunhei replied. She felt as if she was back in her old neighborhood in Korea. Hey, said the customer, turning around. It was Joey. Your name is Yunhei? Unhee? He asked her with his eyes open wide. Yunhee looked quickly at Mr. Kim, then turned to Joey. She nodded slowly. Yes, it's pronounced Yunhei. And it means grace, Mr. Kim added. Yunhai, sorry, Joey said slowly, and this time perfectly it made Yunhei smile. I'll have it ready for you tomorrow, Mr. Kim said to Joey. Thank you, Mr. Kim. See you Monday, Yunhei, Joey said to her. He left before she could ask him why he was at the store. I wonder why Joey was at the store. On Monday, Yunhai came to class early to look at the names one last time. But the jar wasn't on her desk. Instead, there was just a single piece of paper. Paper with a name on it. Yunhai slipped it in her pocket. Where's your name jar? Ralph asked as soon as he saw it was gone. I don't know, Yunhei said. It wasn't on Mr. Kokoto's desk or on any other desk, and it wasn't on the counters or any of the shelves. As the other kids arrived, they helped look. Soon, Mr. Kokotos came in, and Ralph shouted at him, The name jar is gone! The jar with all the names in it! Gone? Mr. Kokotos replied. With a look of concern, he asked Yunhei, Did you get a chance to read all the names? Yunhei nodded. She took a breath. I'm ready to introduce myself, she said. Maybe she picked a name. That's what it sounds like. Yunhai wrote her name in both English and Korean on the chalkboard. I liked the beautiful names and funny names you thought of for me, she told the class. But I realized that I liked my name best, so I chose it again. Korean names mean something. Yunhai means grace. Grace! Grace Inhai, shouted Ralph. Everyone tried to say it. Nahai, Unyi, Unhei. Yunhei said her name again slowly and clearly. Soon the kids began to say it better, even Mr. Kokotos. They applauded Yunhei's choice. I was named after a flower, Rosie whispered to Yunhai. Lots of American names have meanings too, Mr. Kokotos reminded everyone. When the class was dismissed, Yunhai heard her new friends say goodbye. Goodbye, Yunhai. See you tomorrow. Goodbye, Yunhai. Yunhai said goodbye and then looked around for Joey, but he was already gone. Yoonhai, Yoonhai, come downstairs, Mother called up to Yoonhai. Your friend is here. Yoonhai rushed down to see who she meant. There stood Joey, and in his arms was the name jar. Where did you find it? Yoonhai asked breathlessly. Joey looked embarrassed. Well, I took it, but only because I wanted you to keep your own name, and you did. He reached in and pulled out the names. Do you want to keep them? He asked. Thank you. I'll keep them as a souvenir, Yoonhai said happily. Then she pulled out the piece of paper from her pocket. Do you want this back? Joey grinned. You can keep it. I'll return the name jar to the class. Maybe you could put some Korean nicknames in it for us. Names with good meanings. I could do that, agreed Yoonhai. I've already got a Korean nickname, Joey said. Mr. Kim helped me choose it. Carefully, he pulled a small silver felt pouch from his pocket. Then he took out a dark wooden stamp with beautiful Korean characters carved sharply into it. He pressed it on the ink pad and then on the piece of paper next to her name. Chinku, read Yoonhai. That means friend. And Chinku smiled back. There's the two names together. I hope you liked that book. I really liked it. I liked that she ended up picking her own name for her name because it meant something really special to her, didn't it, and her family? All right, Falcons, I will be back next week for another read aloud. I will see you soon. Keep reading. Bye-bye.